Kichima, Chipram Konto, Alliance, shoot to kill, Hamaza, kill the poor, the farmer, kill the poor, the farmer, brr, pa, brr, pa, attention.
That wasn't a clip from Glastonbury. That man is Julius Malema, leader of the left-wing Economic Freedom Fighters, the third largest party in South Africa, but growing in popularity and likely to be kingmakers at the next election. Elon Musk, who's from South Africa, spoke out accusing Malema of calling for white genocide. But the response from the media has been silence. Can you imagine The Guardian ignoring a white politician calling for black people to be killed? Or worse than silence, the New York Times interviewed Bongani Kalunga, an academic at the University of Johannesburg, who said that the phrase "kill the Boer" is not meant to promote violence. It was a call to mobilise against an oppressive system, Mr. Kalunga said. Except genocide against white South Africans is real. Following Malema's incendiary speech, it was revealed that a 79-year-old white farmer had been killed and his wife savagely beaten. But it's not just white South Africans who will suffer. Zimbabwe is next door and shows where this violent rhetoric can lead. In 1980, the left-wing politician Robert Mugabe took control of a Zimbabwe recently freed from British rule. Zimbabwe should have been a shining African success story. Good infrastructure, fertile soil and well-run farms meant it was the breadbasket of Africa.
Just to get clarity, yesterday obviously you had a victory in Parliament in terms of land expropriation without compensation. But the big question is, how do you see it working out? I mean, people have said you've won this in Parliament, but how does the EFF see it working out? Do you have any practical steps of what you want to see happen?
Well, the matter has been referred to the review committee, constitutional committee, and it is going to consult our people on how do we go about it. What we have said as the EFF is that all land in South Africa should belong to the state. The state should be the custodian of the land. It doesn't mean you are losing your house. You know that you have settled on the land that belongs to the state. And once the state has done that, then every occupied land will be declared to the state. And idling land, then the state will make it available to the landless masses of our people. If we want to increase the residential areas in Alexandra, for instance, we shouldn't have a nightmare of saying, where are we going to get the money? Who is the owner? Where is the owner? The owner sometimes is not even in South Africa. So we know that this land belongs to us as government, and we can do anything about it. If we want to use it to produce food, let's do so. If we want to use it for settlement, let's do so.
So for clarity, those farms now occupied by white people currently, if they don't fall under what you've stipulated, do they get to keep them and pay rent to government because now they're leasing? I think that's where we need clarity.
No, they don't have to lease. We must all be allocated land by government. They will say, this is your land. Mahlatsi, this is your land. You have not leased it, but you can sell it. You cannot come tomorrow and say, I've sold my piece of land. No, if you don't want it, you go back to government and say, I'm leaving this place. You can take that which belongs to you, and the government will relocate it to someone else. If it's corporate, particularly foreign investors, they can lease the land and pay rent to the government. The South Africans should not lease land. The South Africans should not pay for land. The land should belong to them.
Contrary to its own freedom charter, the ANC-run government has been fixated on preventing people in rural areas from owning land and on expropriating current landowners, rather than focusing on land reform models that are based on redistribution and economic empowerment. Chair, Venezuela and Zimbabwe are examples of where the legislated nationalization of land and other property has devastating impacts on the economy and food security of those countries. In Venezuela, the economy collapsed due to policies of nationalization, which included expropriation without compensation, leading to massive famine. It was reported that by 2017, more than 3/4 of Venezuelans had lost an average of 12.5 kilograms in body weight due to national food insecurity, and 61% of the population are going to bed hungry. Similar policies regarding expropriation of land in Zimbabwe led to the collapse of the economy and currency, an unprecedented 90% unemployment and famine. The many economic refugees in South Africa from Zimbabwe attest to this.
History in the making. Land expropriation without compensation. It's happening now. History in the making. We are taking this land. Maubuye. Umhlaba wethu maubuye. Viva, viva, Sanko, Sanko, viva! Maubuye! Yeah, it's happening now. I'm trying to get out of this van. Yeah, we are taking our land back. This is really happening. We are between Lorry Park and Pelesir. That's how we are taking our land back. We are here. We are within the buildings now. So I'm about to identify a land for myself now. I can see there's been long overdue for Africans to live under oppression in their own land. So this thing is happening. We are taking our land back.
We will accelerate our land distribution program not only to redress a grave historical injustice, but also to bring more producers into the agricultural sector and to make more land available to our people for cultivation. This approach will include the expropriation of land without compensation.
President, you mentioned expropriation of land without compensation, and we all agreed. Actually, that was the highest applaud you got. I heard the leader of the opposition saying something else. Before I come to you, I want to warn you, the leader of the opposition, that your stay in the metros is going to depend on your attitude on the expropriation of land without compensation. And I want to warn you about that, because that's a fundamental issue which is going to make us fight with you. Because anyone opposed to expropriation of land without compensation is the enemy of our people, and such a person will be dealt with. This cannot be an issue to bluff about. This cannot be an issue to pass time with. It's an emotive issue, and you only mention it if you mean it. It's not a matter that you can go around joking about it. There are no conditions attached to expropriation of land without compensation, because when they took our land, they never attached any condition. They just killed our people.
If anybody thinks in South Africa that you can take the land without compensation, you're living in a dream. Let me put it quite frankly to you. If you want to start a civil war in South Africa, do that. Do that.